Right. Very good afternoon to one and all. Right. Warm welcome to NUS High's e-open house, and thank you very much for spending the afternoon with us. Right. I believe many of you would have watched the 40-minute school presentation in which we actually explained in great detail what the school curriculum is like and where our students will go, what kind of partnerships we have, etc. Right. So actually, it is important that you actually watch that presentation because NUS High is a very unique school. We are very different from the typical school that you know. And so I think that presentation will give you a very good sense of what the curriculum is like and what life will be like in NUS High. Right. Actually, that presentation is designed for you to revisit especially specific parts which you want to know more about. There is actually a content listing and timed so that you can just zoom in on specific segments to find out more in detail. Right? But in case you have not watched that presentation, not to worry. Right? You can still do it after this afternoon's open house, and also I will do a little bit of a quick summary of some of the important points to note. So without further ado, let me share my slides. Okay, now so here I actually listed out for you the three main school systems, right? We have here. One is what the mainstream schools will have. You will all be familiar with that. After about 4 or 5 years in secondary school, typical Singaporean student will take the O levels, and then a group of them will actually proceed to A levels after a 2-year program. Of course, there is the integrated program schools in which students actually skip the O levels. Right? They will do 4 years in the secondary school and then move on to a JC to do a 2-year program, and will just do one national exam, which is the GCE A levels. Some schools actually do the international baccalaureate. Now, so the system is the NUS High. Right? NUS High is the only school in Singapore in which all our students actually skip both the O levels and the GCE A levels. Right? So without any national exam, then what do the students get after 6 years in the school? They get the NUS High School Diploma. This is the one and only diploma in the whole wide world, right? Nobody else offers the NUS High School Diploma because we have a unique curriculum, right? And it is tailored for the needs and talents and interests of the students in NUS High. Now, so with this unique diploma, right, students actually can go on to universities all over the world and in Singapore. Because we don't do the O and the A levels, so we actually save a fair amount of time preparing for national exams. And with this time, we are able to deepen our curriculum, right? And also allow some of our students, especially in the senior years, right, to read university modules with NUS, SMU, SIT DigiPen. Okay. So what do they do with these university modules? So let's say if they've completed a NUS module and they go on to pursue a degree in NUS after graduating from us, they can actually count that module that they did in NUS High towards their university graduation, right? So let me move on a little bit now. So you see there a photograph or 2 photographs of our students. Each photograph is one cohort. So in one glance, that is all the students in that level. So if you come in as a year 1 student next year, then you can count, right? 180 of you. And because it is such a small cohort, you will find that the kind of relationships, friendships that you build here is very, very strong because you kind of know everybody else in the level. Right. And not only in the level, because the whole school only adds up to about just over 1,000 students, you actually know many of your seniors and your juniors, right? And in fact, some of our alumni who shared this morning, who will be sharing later, will be able to tell you that actually when they go all over the world, they will see students from NUS High because they know, students from different cohorts. When it's small, some people will be wondering, if it's small, does it mean that the number of opportunities will be limited? Not at all, right? We pride ourselves to be very nimble and flexible. So although we are small, we are able to cater to small groups of students, right, according to their interests, and for each cohort, each group, right, things are slightly different, and we will customize the programs, right, according to the interests and the talents of the students, right. How are we able to do that, right, with small cohort and still able to customize programs and be flexible? It is because we have got a very, very good student-teacher ratio, right? In fact, I've done a comparison before, and we've got the most impressive, right, teacher-student ratio across all the different IPs, integrated programs. So you see here a map of our students, right? So you find that our students actually are spread out all across the island, right? We have students coming from Pasir Ris, from the northeast Punggol, north in Woodlands, right? And of course, all the way to west in Jurong. So students actually travel from all over, right, to come to the school, to attend the school here, right? But why do they do that? It's because they really like the kind of curriculum that we offer here, right? And also the flexibility that we offer them, right? And so it is well worth the time to travel here for the special education that they're going to get here. For some of the students, especially those in the Far East and also the Northeast and the North, right? Some of them actually come together and actually they can actually charter a private bus, right, to actually fetch them to the school in the morning. So that helps to cut down the traveling time, right, and give you all a bit more sleep in the morning. So let me go a little bit more in depth into the curriculum structure. Our students will achieve by the end of 6 years with us is that they will become future-ready pioneers, humanitarians, and innovators. Right? So you'll find that our focus is not just about book knowledge, but really about them going out into the world to really challenge boundaries, break new grounds, right? And also doing all that for the good of people in the world. That's curriculum here is very well-rounded. Right? If you think that this is a maths and science school and it's only about maths and science, then you're wrong. So let me share with you a little bit more about what we do, right? Both in maths and science and also beyond that. Our curriculum is structured into 3+3, quite unlike the mainstream schools, which is 4+2, right? 4 years in secondary and 2 years in JC. That's what a typical school does. We do a 3+3. So in the foundation years, first 3 years, you'll find that they have a more broader base and more subjects, and then when it comes to the specialization years in the senior 3 years, but they will then go into specific majors. So let me go into the program a little bit more detail. Right. Okay. So character and citizenship education. Right. We believe, right, that for success in life, right, what is important is that our students learn to be of good character, right, and also to have a heart to serve, right. So that's why the foundation is about the character and citizenship education. On languages, we actually have the bilingual policy just like any other school in Singapore. So all our students will do a mother tongue language, right, unless they have been given the exemption from MOE. For foreign languages, we offer in-house with the school. We have our own Japanese teacher here, right? And also we offer Chinese special program and also Malay special program for our students. The other foreign languages that the students do, right, what they do, okay, beyond the Japanese language. So for example, if they want to learn German, Spanish, and French, they can actually go to the MOE Language Center, right, to do those foreign languages. And those will be counted towards the curriculum of the school as well. Okay, so if you look at the left column there, that's the foundation years 1, 2, and 3. Of course, you see there typical subjects, maths, right? The sciences are done in biochemistry and physics, right? And you also see there humanities, arts program as well. What is very unique to the school is the computer science program. Right? It is the only school in Singapore that offers a 6-year computer science program for our students. All our Set 1 students will do computer science. Right? This, if you have heard MOE, right, last year they already said that they will introduce computational thinking into the secondary curriculum. But actually, our school has already done that since 2016. So after the first year, which is compulsory for all, then subsequent years, students can choose to do computer science, right, as an elective. Okay. Talk a little bit about our humanities and aesthetics programs. Right. I think most of them, most students come here thinking that this is about maths and science, right? But our school makes sure that our students have a very well-balanced and well-rounded education here, because just maths and science alone, right, is not sufficient for that holistic exposure that any child should get, right, as a foundation education that they should receive. Because beyond the maths and science, they need to understand a little bit more about the human condition, right, and really learn to appreciate some of the more social sciences aspect, right, of human behavior, right. Excuse me, right. Okay, so on the for humanities, right, you'll find that quite a number of the students with that humanities background is sufficient for them to go on to university and pursue non-science maths programs, including finance, law, business, psychology, etc. If you stay for our alumni sharing later, or if you have heard them this morning, you will find that quite a number of them go on to do courses that are non-science and maths, right? So roughly about 30% of our students go into these areas, and about 70% goes into maths and science courses at the university. If you look at this row at the bottom on research, innovation, and enterprise, research curriculum is something that is unique to us, and our students do it for 6 years throughout their whole secondary education and also the senior years in our school. Right? For the research curriculum in the junior years, they will do the basic research methodology, they will do science presentations, right? And then in the senior years, they will move on to do the advanced research project, which is a requirement for graduation from the school. So in fact, universities love us, right? Because our students, by the time they go to them, they find that our students have a very strong research grounding, right, for them to pursue higher level work in the universities. Physical education is very, very important, right? Because we all need a healthy body, and in fact, the 2 hours per week is very much welcome by our students, right? It is always fun to have PE lessons. In the specialization years, our students will zoom in and focus on mainly a maths major and 2 science majors. So 1 maths and any 2 sciences. And science, to count towards science, right? Computer science is also a science subject, right? Some of our students will do a 4th major, right? And this 4th major can either be a 3rd science, or it can be a humanities subject, or even art and music. We actually have students who do a music major, right, and actually move on to do a music degree after they graduate from school. So for students who do not do a or whose 4th major is a science subject, then you'll find that in the senior years they only do majors in maths and science. What we then do is give them a humanities capstone module to make sure that they are in their senior years, they also have a very well-balanced maths, science, and humanities curriculum. For students who want to go deeper into their specialization, do the honors, do their subjects at the honors level, which is 1 level higher than the basic major. So just now I mentioned our students graduate with the NUS High School Diploma. You might be wondering, if this is the only school that offers this diploma, who will recognize such a qualification, right? You'll find that because our diploma is accredited regularly by the National University of Singapore and also the Ministry of Education, it is highly recognized by universities all over the world. First of all, the diploma is fully recognized by all the local universities. Right? What does recognize mean? It means that we just produce the NUS High diploma and they will admit our students based on our diploma results. And our diploma, the reputation of our diploma is also strengthened by our students who have gone on to study at these institutes. Besides our local universities, the diploma is also recognized by overseas universities. For example, those in the UK, like Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial College of London, right, and also universities in USA, Ivy League, MIT, Caltech, etc., and also Australian universities as well. Right. Beyond the English-speaking countries, our diploma is also recognized by universities in the other countries. Right. For example, Germany, France, Japan, etc. So these are just a sample of some of the top universities around the world and in Singapore, right, which our students have been or are attending. So let me very quickly run through the Dsa timeline with everyone. Right. I want to remind everybody that our school admits students based on 100% Dsa. So that means we do not admit students through the Set 1 posting. Right. So when you cannot come, so all recent talks about using the AL scores to apply to different schools and different school choices, that doesn't apply to us. Right, because if you want to join the school, you've got to participate in the direct school admission exercise. So registration for Dsa has already started and it will go on until 1st of June. Okay? So when you apply, you have 3 options. So and in each of these options, you get to choose a talent area. Okay? So if you're applying to NUS High, we have 2 talent areas. One of it is maths, the second is science. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Okay, you can either choose maths or you can choose science. You don't have to choose 2 times. Okay, because whether you choose maths or science, we will look at the whole portfolio in both mathematics and science. So, because we know you only have 3 options, so you only need to use one for applying to NUS High, and then you can use the other 2 options to apply to other schools. So what happens after you have put in your application? We will actually look at all the applications that come in and we will shortlist a number of candidates, right? And the shortlisted candidates, we will contact you between 24th June and 23rd July, and we will invite you to submit a portfolio. This portfolio submission should be digitalized. Okay, we strongly encourage you to submit digital versions because especially under this COVID situation, right, we do not encourage you to deliver hard copy to the school. So for the shortlisted candidates, we will also be contacting you to inform you about the e-interview, and this will we will inform the information, the invitation to the e-interview will come between 26th June to the 30th of July. So if you don't hear from us by the 26th, 27th of June, don't worry, right? Because we have to send out the invitations, right, in batches. Okay, so we have up to 30th July to invite you to come for interview. And for the shortlisted candidates, right, the interview dates will be between 1st July to 6th of August. These interviews will be conducted in the primary school, just like last year, right? So we will go school by school and we will coordinate with your respective primary schools to make this arrangement. So after we have conducted all our e-interviews, we will be making a decision about who are the ones we will be offering confirmed offers or put people on wait list, right? These offer letters will then go out by the end of August. So there's one more step after we give you the offer letter. You will actually be making your selection towards the end of October. Okay, so in other words, after you have received all your confirmed offers and waitlist offers, towards the end of October, MOE will invite you to make your choices for DSA, which are the ones that you want to accept, right, in order of choice. So before that, shortly before that, but after your PSLE exam, right, we will actually be holding a Newton Fun Camp, right, for you to get to really come together with other successful applicants, right, to hold some activities and have some of these activities which are really quite fun, and you get a taste of what life is going to be like at NUS High. Whether this will be face-to-face or whether this will be online, we will have to look at the situation, the COVID situation at that point in time. So we will let the successful applicants know closer to the date. So I mentioned just now that all of you do need to apply for DSA at this point, right, to gain admission to NUS High School. Sometimes, in some years, our DSA places are actually not filled because we make offers, but we may not fill our 180 vacancies at the end of the DSA exercise. So in some years, we have a small number of places which we will then reopen again in November, what we call the supplementary intake exercise. So if you are unsuccessful in the first round of DSA, or if you did not apply, then this is a second window in which you can try and catch the opportunity to apply to our school. But I would like to state at this point, there is no guarantee that we will have a supplementary exercise. We will only offer a supplementary exercise if we have DSA vacancies left over after that first round. So a question which a lot of you will have is whether what the Dsa Selection Interview like. Right? The selection interview comprises panels of about 2 to 3. Okay? It will take about 30 to 40 minutes. You will have probably 2 rounds or so. Right? You have an individual round and also a round as a group with others. Right? So even if you are doing it online, you will have a group interview online. Right? So yeah, so the panel will be about two or three teachers from the school. So what are we looking for in the interviews? Right, we look for passion and potential. Right, how do we assess potential? Is it just through the academic results? Academic results is one source of information for us. We also look at your portfolio, right? So together, right? So if there are some students whose results may not be so outstanding, but if they have got a very interesting portfolio, we will also consider them and invite them in. Right? We also want to throw our net open to many different schools. Right? In fact, each year we have roughly about students coming from 80 over schools in Singapore. So if you just try to imagine, we've got fewer than 200 schools, right? And of them, right, easily half the schools have students, right, who actually come to the school. Okay. One very important element we look for is passion, right? Because students coming here actually do an accelerated and deepened curriculum in mathematics and science. So therefore, you really must enjoy doing maths and science if you come to this group, right? Otherwise, the 6th year will be a very long journey for you. So that's why we assess for passion and interest, right? And in the portfolio, we would like students to demonstrate, right, what is it that they love about maths and science, and demonstrate it through the whatever they put in their portfolio, right? A typical question that parents and students will ask is whether you need to have Olympiad to actually apply to the school. The answer is definitely no, because we have 180 places, right? Definitely not so many students have actually participated in Olympiad. So therefore, even if students don't have competitions or Olympiads, right, we strongly encourage you to apply if you really have that potential and that passion, right, in maths and science. Okay. Another question parents often have is about the finances, right? Because we do charge a monthly fee of $300, and so parents will be, some families will have a bit of concern about the relatively high cost compared to a standard mainstream school. Not to worry, because the Ministry of Education offers many financial support schemes for students who qualify for independent schools like ourselves. So, for example, they say the MOE Independent Schools Bursary, right? MOE actually supports Singapore citizens, right? Regardless, right, of their financial background, who can benefit from such an education. So there will be subsidy for fees for for Singapore citizens from the lower and income families, so that they are not deprived of the opportunity to learn at the independent schools. On top of the independent schools bursary, or the ISB, we also have the MOE Uplift Scholarships for students from the low-income families. Right? Low-income families will be those with gross household income. That means the total income of everybody, right, in the family, right? Gross household income of 2,750 or lower, or if the per capita income is $690 or lower. Okay, per capita income is the gross household income divided by the number of people in that household. The Uplift Scholarship is $800 per year. On top of those two financial support schemes, there is also the ESIS, or the EduSave scholarships for independent schools. So ESIS is given to the top 1/3 of the Sec 1 students who are admitted to the independent schools, right? And this is based on the PSLE results. Okay? The EC scholarship is $2,400 a year, and it's also the annual fees charged by the independent schools, right? If you compare 2,400 or the total fee charge, right, whichever, right, is lower. Okay. On top of the MOE schemes, NUS High also have our own study awards. So these are given to Singapore citizens, right, who qualify for school fees subsidies under the ISB, right? So these students will have an additional $2,000 per year, right, in study award. Okay. Just a very brief introduction. Right? So let's very quickly go into the Q&A. For if you are using the laptop, then what you can do is look for the Q&A panel, right? You activate your Q&A panel, then you can key in your question. For those of you who are using the mobile phone, then you can look out for the top right corner, the question mark, and then you can also click on it. So let me then now hand you back to the facilitators. On to the Q&A.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mr. Goh, the Deputy Principal for Academic. So what will happen now is that we'll go into the formal Q&A, and we'll be looking through the list of questions that we have published. So some of the questions that you publish is still under new, and we need to take time to go through before you publish it. So please don't spam it, in the sense that we'll go through them and then we publish when we think that the questions are relevant to more people. Then we'll publish it so that we can answer them and the answers will be seen by the public. But if it's a private question whereby it's only personal and it only affects you, then we'll just give you a written reply, and then that's it, but the public will not see your reply. If you scroll through the questions and realize that the questions are really pertinent and really want us to address, please like the questions and you'll float out to our attention. And definitely we will be addressing all the key questions or popular questions that you want us to reply. So that's for sure. And what we'll do is that I'll be answering a list of questions. Then after that, I'll pass the time to my fellow school leaders so that they can answer the other set of questions as well. So then we'll go through in this way as many questions as we can, because they take time to look through and take time to then respond to you. Okay, so that we have the maximum uptime possible. So let me talk about the Dsa selection, portfolio submission, and the diploma. So there are a lot of questions on that. We are glad that you are interested in us. So let me see whether I can clarify as much as we can. First of all, in the Dsa choice, okay, you have 3 choices. Okay, there are no ranking in the choice. There are no ranking. So you can put NUS High School, okay, and 2 other schools, right? So there's no difference at all. Okay, in the rank 2, 3, there's no rank at all. So the 3 schools will then receive your name from MOE. That MOE will tell us that this student is interested in your school for DSA. Please evaluate the child. Okay, and a whole list of information will come from MOE as well. Okay, for the exact information, you can see on the DSA website for MOE. They'll list out exactly what are the things that the MOE will pump to the schools to consider. Some of you ask, okay, so how do we shortlist students? We shortlist students based on what MOE gives to us, all the available information, plus the 10 things that you can key in on your own. Right, so you can't control what MOE gives to us, because these are all the information that's already in your school progress report anyway. Right, so you don't have to key in things that are already there. But there are a lot of things that the school may not know, like what you do at home, the things that you do, and you like us to know. Okay, then that's where the 10 things become very useful for us. These 10 things that you put in will be given to all the 3 schools that you put down as DSA, so we will receive it as well. Then based on whatever that you put down, the 10 things and the MOE data, we will shortlist students. Okay, from this group of people, we will shortlist this group of people for you. Then we'll email you. Please submit your digital portfolio. Okay, for us to evaluate. Right now, we cannot guarantee that every single one who applied to us will submit a portfolio. We don't have such a infinite bandwidth. We do not know what's the number of applicants this year. Okay, so if based on past details, past information, we definitely can't hit that number. But this year being COVID, maybe the number will be smaller. We do not know. If it's smaller, then the people who apply will have a higher chance. So the portfolio must be digital, so that we first of all don't have to come down and increase your interaction bubble, right? So you're still under phase 2 heightened alert, and it's also easier for us to evaluate as well. Next, what's the format like? Okay, so please putting anything that you think will showcase the child's passion or talent in math and or science. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say I like swimming. I enjoy swimming. Then how do I know that I enjoy swimming? Because I swim almost every other day or every week. I will go down on my own. My parent doesn't ask me to swim, that I swim. Now, that's not called passion, right? That's called pushing. Yeah. So it must be really from the innate interest of the child. So if you as a parent realize that actually the child is doing things on his or her own without you prompting, and yet he enjoys doing it, and you spend a lot of time on it, that's really passion. And then you can guide the child to put that in as evidence that the child is interested in math and science. Then what about aptitude or talent? Show us his school achievements, his school results, which is already in the MOE data. Any competitions, programs, things that you sign up for, these are all things that can give us a better idea that this child, okay, should deserve a second look, a closer look, and we definitely will invite the child for an interview. One thing about the DSA is that many of you are also applying for DSA to many other schools. Some schools, for example, you go to DSA math, then you will be forever doing in the math club. Just like if you apply for DSA choir, you must be in choir, right? You cannot drop out of choir for the 4 or 6 years. And then if you are in DSA math in certain school, you'll be in math Olympiad forever. You can't drop off. In this school, it's different. There's no such thing. Come over here, then straight away you're in math club or science society. In the first place, there's no such CCAs. So once you come into DSA for math and or science, okay, you can do anything you want. You can don't do math or science Olympiad. You can do math and science research. You can don't do a lot of things. Basically, it's just a process for you to come in. Then what you do is based on your choice. There are great flexibility for you to do, right? In terms of modules, elective modules, university modules, overseas trips, special programs, okay, competitions that you want to go for. They are all just optional. Okay, so there's no commitment that, oh, I must do math because I choose DSA math. This is very, very important difference between our school and many schools in Singapore for DSA. Okay, so after we look at the portfolio, then we will start shortlisting people for the interview. We know that SA1 for some schools had not been carried out yet because of the COVID. The full home-based learning was kicked in, and therefore your exams will be delayed. We fully understand. Okay, that's why the interview process and shortlisting process will take a few weeks. So as and when the data comes in, as and when we look at the complete data, then we will process and then we will invite you batch by batch. So not to worry. So those schools that already have SA1, we'll look at them first. Then those schools that have SA1 later, okay, the data will eventually be bumped to MOE and we'll get it, and then we will shortlist you as well. So not to worry. I think. Yeah, so unless SA1 also cannot carry out, then there's another matter. Okay, now some of you asked about AL 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the cutoff? Okay, so I'm not exactly sure yet. Okay, I would need to know. Okay, by and large, are you mastering your math and science curriculum? Okay, we don't need you to be 100 marks or 90 marks all the time. Okay, we don't need you to show us great exam techniques, but what we want is conceptual understanding and your potential to learn, right? So so this is something that we hope to see in the data that MOE gives to us or whatever that you key in. Okay, so it's really based on merits. Next, about diploma. Okay, so at the end of the day, you'll be given a diploma based on the CAP, cumulative average points. So A and A plus 5.0, A minus 4.5, B plus 4, B is 3.5, etc. Go down. So to get a diploma, you must get 2.5 out of 5.0 to get a diploma. Our diploma has 4 classifications. High distinction, which is 4.5 and above. Distinction 4 to 4.5, merits 3 to 4, and then a pass is 2.5 to 3. Okay, so the question asks, how recognized is our diploma? Okay, so different universities view our diploma very differently. Okay, and they will put up in their website how NUS High School Diploma is benchmarked against the other certification like the A level, the Gaokao, the IB, etc. Right, so all the universities from all over the world will have a long list of certification that they recognize, and NUS High School Diploma is always one of them. So if you go to Harvard website, MIT website, Oxford website, Cambridge website, you see NUS High School Diploma as one of them. In the Q&A panel, there was this question, and I put down Edinburgh University of Edinburgh Medicine entry to apply. Okay, as one of the example, because I can find easily through Google. Okay, so Edinburgh University Medicine is a recognized medical degree by the Singapore Medical Council. So many Singapore students go there to do medicine. So if you're doing A levels, you need 4 A's to apply to do medicine at Edinburgh. 4 A's. In our school, the CAP is 4.2, which is somewhere between a B plus and an A minus, a 4.2. And 75% of our students get that figure. So if, in other words, 75% of our students can apply to Edinburgh to do medicine if they want to do so. Have you seen a JC that has 75% 4 A's and 75% of the whole JC eligible to study medicine in Edinburgh? It's very different, right? Very different. There's a very interesting question about, are we affiliated to NUS? Yeah, I don't think, if you're not affiliated, I don't think the school can bear the name of NUS. Yeah, definitely we are NUS High School Math and Science for a reason, because we have strong affiliation. Okay, so what is the advantage? Great advantage. Okay, number one, we get our diploma in November. Okay, while the A-level students get their certs, get their results only in February. So NUS will open a special admission phase just for NUS High School students in December for 1 month. So our students go in, they apply way before the A-level students and the poly students. In other words, our students are evaluated based on its own merits. They don't have to be compared to the A-level students or the poly students. And this is open to all courses, including medicine, engineering, computer science. Right? So they are they are judged based on their own merits. They don't have to be judged based on the A level compared to the A level peers. So therefore, if everyone gets qualified, everyone gets in. Yeah, so that's good. I think that's one of the most important advantage. Of course, NUS being our affiliated university means that our students can access the university modules when they're still a high school student. 2/3 of our students take university modules, okay, before they graduate from here, which means that they can have early graduation if they want to, or more time to do double degree, double major, or a longer time to do exchange program. Okay, please look at our 40 minutes video for more detailed advantages of our affiliation to NUS. Right, so I think I stop now for now, and I'll pass the time to Mr. Koh to answer the next set of questions. Mr. Koh, I can't see you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Now can. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, parents and children. All right. There are some questions on whether you're allowed to bring phone to schools. Yes, you will be allowed to bring phone to schools, but for year 1 and year 2 students, will be locking up your phones in the classroom cabinet while you're having lessons. Okay, but during breaks and after lessons, after the school curriculum hour, you will be able to get back your phones. All right. There are some questions about external CCAs. All right, so for students who would still like to pursue your external CCA, please continue to do so, but you write into the school to make sure that there is no timetable clashes. All right, and your external CCA will not be able to replace your school-based CCA, meaning if let's say you want to have an external CCA, you must still have our own NUS High CCA. This is because our CCA program is an important platform for you to learn important CCA skills as well as leadership skills. All right, and that's why for our school, CCA is compulsory for every student. Okay, I'll go on to the last segment of the question that I've managed to see so far, and that is on boarding. I guess some of you are quite excited about boarding. In general, we offer our boarding program to year 5 students. There are some instances where some students may apply to stay in our boarding or in our hostel earlier than that. Okay, we will examine the case, and if you really want to stay, we will look at the vacancy as well as the reason for you wanting to stay in boarding. All right, so now I will pass on the time to Ms. So, our principal. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. Just to address some of the questions, like I think there's some concern about your child's mother tongue language results being not so good. Not to worry. Mother tongue language is not our focus in the selection criteria. Our focus is on mathematics and science. So, even if the child's mother tongue results is not good, when they come in, right, we will try our best to really encourage and develop the child's interest in the mother tongue language, right? At the senior levels, right, if the child really cannot cope with mother tongue language, we also offer the mother tongue B syllabus for the child as well. So not to worry if your child's mother tongue results is not good. It doesn't disadvantage your child. Right? Some concern also is, what if your child does not do well after they join the school, right? We have a lot of support programs, whether it is in academic support or emotional support, right? We have got 3 pastoral counselors to provide emotional support for the child, and our teachers will do their utmost, right, whether it is in remedial consultations, right, to support our students in the academic learning if they are not keeping up so well, right? In fact, the alumni also and the students also share how the peers would help one another, right, to make sure that everybody gets through, because studies in NUS High is not a competition, it's a collaboration. right? When the students come, you will find that actually you look left and right, everybody is very good in maths and science, right? Quite unlike some of you now who may be the top, top 1 or 2 student in the school, right? So when you come here, you'll find that you may not be the top student in the school, but that is not your objective for coming to school. You don't come to school to be number 1 in the school. You come to the school to learn, right? So the students here come together, collaborate together, support one another, and help one another get better. So the focus is on the learning, and it's not on the winning one another. So with this kind of a culture, right, it's a very supportive and encouraging culture that supports everybody through that 6-year education in the school, right? In most years, every one of our students get through to year 6 and graduate with the diploma, right? Yes, there are every now and then, right, there will be one student in the cohort who may not be keeping up so well. So typically in such a case, then by the time after they've completed about 4 years in the school, more or less reaching a equivalent of Sec 4, right? Then in that case, they will then consider, right, if they find that they might want to move on to a polytechnic, right, to pursue more hands-on curriculum in the polytechnic, right? Just to give you a sense of where our students are at the end of 4 years in the school. I mentioned just now that it is a 3+3, right? Foundation years 3 years and specialization years 3 years. So actually, at the end of the junior high or the first 3 years, you will find that excuse me, you'll find that our students more or less would have completed equivalent to the O-level class by the time they complete 3 years. So if they finish 4 years in the school, right, they are actually would have really exceeded Sec 4 O-level equivalent. So they are actually qualified to move on to JC or a polytechnic, right? But I would also like to qualify that, because if the child came in through DSA, then at the end of 4 years, it is only in very exceptional cases where the child is not coping well, right, that we will even consider transferring them to another school, right? Otherwise, the child would, because the DSA commitment is a 6-year commitment, and it's a commitment from the child as well as from the school. So our commitment is to see the child through to 6 years to actually obtain the NUS High diploma. Okay, so I pass you back to Mr. Goh. Mr. Goh, you're muted.
Okay, now I talk about MOS and SPSO, and as well as about some elective modules. Okay, so as MOS SPSO have been postponed to next term, will you still consider the results for Dsa selection? Do you encourage PhD students to take these 2 competitions in July? Okay, definitely we will make use of all the possible data available, right? So if you are taking the MOS SPSO, right, that's fine. And then because we are the one who organize the competitions, definitely we will have the data. Then you don't have to send it to us. However, if there are competitions that you sign out and it's carried out in term 3, and you want us to consider the achievements, please send to us as well, and we'll update the portfolio. Are elective modules done after school? What time does the last lesson end? Okay, so in secondary schools, lessons end pretty late, and this is true for all secondary schools in Singapore, right? So for us, the CCA is on Monday and Friday, so it will be from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So definitely for these 2 days, the students will stay late until 6 p.m. Then the rest of the days will all depend on the elective modules that the child sign up. So if you do MOE LC, MOE Language Centers, third language, then you'll be on Tuesday afternoon. If you're doing our in-house Japanese language, you'll be on Tuesday afternoon as well. Our WG program sometimes is on Wednesday afternoon, but it's not up to 6 p.m. Yeah, so that is roughly about the time that we are talking about. Then this question, if my results are not very stable, but generally above 83 for science and 90+ for math, will I still be eligible? The answer is yes. Right? As long as you're in the 80s and 90s, I think these are all very decent math and science results. So please go ahead and apply. If I pass round 1 of GEP but fail to pass round 2 of GEP, does it provide an advantage? I do not know, right? In the sense that you must provide this data. This data is not available through MOE portal. So if you want us to know that you passed through round 1, then just put in the 10 things that you want the DSA schools to know. What is the risk assessment? As NUS High School students will only be graded NUS High, NUS Diploma. Okay, I'll interpret the question that is there a risk in taking NUS High School Diploma? I would say the risk is very high when you are a first cohort of students in 2008. I think the students there are very brave. They really, it's a leap of faith. They take only NUS High School, even though we don't have any students or any graduate. Okay, but we are already a 16-year-old school, 16 years old. Okay, and we have cohorts graduated from here in 2008 till now. Okay, if our diploma is not reliable, not valid, do you think this school can stand so strong until now? Right? On our website itself has a list of universities that our students have gone to: NUS, NTU, MIT, Harvard, etc. For example, MIT is one of the hardest universities to go in for Singapore because they only set a quota of 5 students every year. Right. So for the past 10 years, 1 to 3 students come from our school. So I think our school diploma is very, very valued. Okay, because it's 470. Just at A level, it's very, very valued. Okay, it's very valuable because it is common benchmark. But imagine 30,000 people take A level and 10,000 people get 4 A's. How do they make a difference? How do they evaluate these 10,000 people? It's very hard. They need to look at other things. So in the end, it may be easy to get 4 A's. At the end, you need to do a lot of things to show that you are better than the 10,000 people. Over here, we got 170 people, and they're easy to identify and easy for them to benchmark with the A-level people. Let me give you another example. In A-level, only 40 to 80 students every year will be able to take the history science research. So history science research is an open-ended research project that they can do in NUS. Okay, and so when the university admission saw, oh, you are one of the history science research students, you're the top 80 students, because only top 80 students can qualify. So they know this magic number, 40 to 80. Then you're one of the better students, one of the best students in whole of Singapore already. Why only 40 to 80? Because NUS can only provide 40 to 80 places every year to all the GC students. Only 40 to 80 can apply. For NUS High School, all the 170 students have research project. So therefore, straight away, we are benchmarked to the top 40 to 80 students in the whole of Singapore. If you look at other public available domain information, like the admission rate to Cambridge University and Oxford University, okay, you can easily Google Cambridge University acceptance rate high school. You can Google it. Then the public information is that these 2 universities show a list of high schools from all over the world. Okay, the number of applicants, number of people who got shortlisted, number of people who accepted the offer or given an offer. Okay, from all over the world. So NUS High School is there, including as well as Singapore. All the Singapore top JCs are there. So anyone to apply to Cambridge Oxford will be there as well. Our success rate, okay, for admission is 40% to Cambridge University and Oxford University. Okay, we are proud to share that that's the highest rate in all the whole of Singapore. No other Singapore schools, okay, are near us. Okay, so if you are interested to go to Cambridge and Oxford, the highest chance is in our school. So this is the public information. So you just simply Google and compare our school versus the other schools in Singapore, and you see that this is easy publicly verified information. Okay, so top universities view us very differently. Okay, and they like us. I think there's this persistent question: what is expected of the portfolio? I think people cannot tahan, and Hokkien, but cannot tahan weakness. Okay, the reason why I don't want to give a description is because once I say, right, suddenly there'll be a flood of things. For example, let's say, oh, you can put out origami. Wow, I think there'll be hundreds of origami projects coming in. Yeah. So, but the whole idea is that the portfolio should be to showcase the child's life inside school or outside school for the past 2-3 years. So what does the child do over weekends? outside tuition, outside school? Does he do anything, or the child is so busy with tuition and school that there's no other life already? Then it's quite sad, actually. Yeah, but so you should know as a parent, okay, maybe he read a lot of books about math and science. Then list down the books that he had read. Maybe a reflection log of the book or book review will be useful. Or maybe the child watched a lot of YouTube or did some experiments on YouTube as well, follow up the thing. These are all very useful things that we wish to know. Of course, there is a possible of a false claim that the parent may put down things that the child may not be doing, but it will be easily detected and triangulate later on. Right? So we are not that worried. Yeah. So put out things that you think really showcase the child's life. It's quite hard to do in the 10 things that you can put in, but must be concise actually. All right. So I stop here. Let me pass the time to Miss So for the next set of questions that she will answer. Live to Miss So, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I'll talk a bit about gifted education. Right. There was a question about whether the GE students will have to do anything, to apply to the school. Right. I think we actually handle gifted education GEP students at the same level as any other applicant. Right. Of course, for GE students, we do expect you to put some of the interesting things that you have done in your GE experience into one of the 10 things that you put in. So they will be able to take a look at that. Right. So basically, for when we look up for students, right, we don't give priority to GE per se. But I would think that your GE experience will be something interesting that we will be looking out for, right? When we interview the student or when we look at your portfolio. Okay. When the students come here, we just a very broad numbers is that actually majority of our students are not GE students, right? But the whole school curriculum is a GE curriculum. So in other words, we offer a gifted curriculum for those who are gifted in maths and science particularly. So you'll find that the maths and science curriculum is accelerated, right, and also enriched, and that's why at the end of 3 years we have already completed O-level plus equivalent, right, and then as they go higher levels, we are able to actually go beyond the A-level equivalent, right, as our students reach their senior years. Okay, so in that sense, everybody is offered that gifted education program once they come to NUS High. Want to also encourage if you are from, let's say, if you find that, hey, I don't have seniors who have come to the school before you, right? So you'll find that, okay, from my school, I don't have seniors who applied and joined NUS High. Should you apply? I would say, yes, please do, because our objective is to reach out to as many schools as possible in Singapore. We believe that there are maths and science talents in every school, right? And we want all these maths and science talents to come here, join us, and realize your full potential. So if you have got that passion, interest, and also you really enjoy doing science and you are doing well in it, then do apply to us. Okay. On the some students say, I'm interested in maths, but I'm not so interested in science, right? In another question, some students actually say that they're very interested in computer science, but not so interested in maths and science. So how, right? Okay. We actually really encourage students who have got a passion in one area to come and apply to us. For example, you are passionate in computer science or mathematics or science, yes. But I must also qualify that you do need to have general interest in both maths and science, okay? Because you will find that the curriculum here is enriched in maths and science, not just in one or the other. Right, so you do need to have general interest in both subjects in order to enjoy the 6-year curriculum here. But that particular interest and passion in one subject or another, but will be highly valued because it means that you'll be able to really develop very deep and strong talents in at least one particular area. Okay. Also to add that not just in maths and science, although we don't look for it as a selection criteria, but I think in this day and age, it is important that all students have that broad interest and curiosity and wonderment, really, right? To want to go and find out a little bit more about many things in the world and not just in one very narrow area, right? So passion in one area, but general curiosity about many things will be highly valued. Okay, all right. So should I pass the time to Mr. Koh? Or yeah, Mr. Koh.
Hi, hello. All right. I saw a question about what if the child is not able to transit to NUS High successfully? Does it mean that he or she has to go back to mainstream secondary school? So basically, what happens here is that all of you are primary 6 now. When you go to any secondary school, there will definitely be some transitions that you need to adjust to. For example, the number of subjects, the different groups of friends that you may have, a different learning environment, a longer timetable that you may be faced with as compared to primary school. So there will definitely be some challenges for everyone in order to transit to secondary school successfully. Now, for students who may face some challenges, don't worry. Just like any other school, we will provide support for you to help you to transit successfully. All right, but of course, it must come with effort and motivation from your part as well. So I would like to assure parents and students that yes, our school will provide support, okay, to make sure we can help you transit successfully, and we do not just throw you back to mainstream secondary school just like that. Okay, so this is just to assure you. The second category of question that I would like to address is with regards to boarding. All right, so some of you asked about what kind of boarding facilities do we have. Okay, so I must really reiterate that boarding is not a hotel. All right, the Year 5 boarding program is really a program to develop you some life skills so that you learn how to live semi-independently, as well as to provide you opportunity for you to communicate and to live with your peers, as well as students from other schools and nationalities. All right, and this has proven to be very useful experience for our students who, for example, may aspire to go overseas and they therefore have to live alone in foreign lands, or for students who wants to go to university hostel and stay there. So this boarding program will be a very good first-time experience for these students so that they will know what to do and what to prepare should they decide to stay in hostel in university, especially when they are in overseas university. Some of you asked whether the boarding program is optional. Our Year 5 boarding program is compulsory, but if there are exceptional reasons why you are not able to stay in boarding, just feel free to alert the school when the time comes, but this will be 4 years later. Right, and some of the facilities that we have in boarding are, for example, there's music room, there's a TV room for recreation, there's a games room, there's a gym, and for our boarding structure is a suite of 4 students, 2 by 2, with their own toilet facility. So it's not a common toilet where it's shared by the whole level of students. All right. Okay, then let me look at the last set of questions. All right, for students who would really like to know the range of CCAs that we have, you can visit our school website. It's unfortunate that we are not able to offer every single CCA that some of you have suggested or requested, because we do have limited resources and manpower in this case. All right, So, but do know that for our school, you are allowed to change your CCA. So even if, let's say, after first year or after 2 years, you realize that you have learned enough from the current CCA and you would like to change, we usually have this allowance at the beginning of the year where you are given a CCA preference form for you to change your CCA if you need to. So throughout the 6 years, there's plenty of opportunity for you to explore maybe 2 to 3 CCAs so that you can have a more varied experience in our school. All right, and now I will pass the time to my colleague, Mr. Goh. All right. Muted.
Never get used to this. Okay, let me answer some questions about home econs. Does NUS High School offer home econs to year 1, year 2 students? We do not offer home econs as a module. Okay, I don't think we need to teach it as a module for students to learn home econs. These are life skills. We can teach it in other platforms, like for example, workshops, in our Unified program. These are all some of these programs are offered by the parents. That's why it cannot be considered as a module, because then it must count towards grade, right? So if I want to involve my parents in terms of imparting cooking skills and life skills, I think it's best to keep it as a program and as a workshop. Yeah, but definitely we think it's important skills, but as of now we don't offer home econs as a module. But we do have food science, we do have kitchen chemistry. Okay, that's the and that is counted towards academic modules. What's the percentage of a number of students that get into the first round or second round? Does it mean that if I'm shortlisted to submit the portfolio, mean that I'm shortlisted for interview as well? Or after the interview to submit the digital portfolio, there's another stage for the shortlisting for interview. Okay. So largely, after everyone applies, okay, the whole list will be given to every school. So we have the full list. Out of that, we see, okay, based on the MOE data and your TEM submissions, okay, who we are interested to find out a bit more. Okay, that will be here. Okay, because I don't think we can look at every single portfolio. We don't have the manpower to do it within the given Dsa timeline. Okay, unfortunately. So here, so it'll be a short list. Then when you submit a teacher portfolio, okay, hopefully by then your SA1 result will also be out. Then you can submit together. But if not, then you can supplement it later. Then from there, then we will batch by batch invite people to attend an e-interview. Right? The e-interview has 2 components, a group component and an individual component. So you cannot choose. Right? So everyone will go through group component and the individual component. Okay. As for the exact range, largely by the time we go for interview, we hope to interview around 400 students, right? To shortlist and give an offer about 180. That's a typical number, right? How many students do you accept from each school? Okay. So this is a PSLE easy problem. We got 180 places. We got 80 schools from in year 1. So how many students on average do we have per school? I think this one quite easier. Yeah, so that's the number, right? So it's a very, very small number. Yeah, typically they're the top math and science student in that school. How do your female students fare compared to the boys? Are they intimidated? Is there a fair way of assessing their abilities? Okay, I think the best way is to later on stay back to listen to our students sharing, right? I think it's coming up soon. Okay, and then you can see for yourselves how our female students stand. Actually, our female students are fantastic. Many of them are council leaders or the president of the society, right? And doing excellent in many academic areas as well. Does NUS school look more deeply into math results as compared to science results? Or the answer is no. We look at both results equally important. Okay, different students have different strengths. So you may be very strong in math and not so strong in science, or vice versa. We will all want all of you. There are different profile of math and science talents. Do I need to be competitive math and science or in national level to get in? The answer is no. Right? Majority of the students in our school do not have national Olympiad. How much per year is being spent on curriculum book purchase? surprisingly, I don't have this information at the top of my head. Maybe about $100+. Okay, they spend money on mother tongue paper, mother tongue. What means that the mother tongue textbook. So other than that, the textbook that we ask them to buy could be the Campbell Bio textbook that can last for a few years. Yeah, so not much money. Many of the reference materials are from books. Is there any? Maybe I pass the time to Miss So. Pass the time to Miss So, please.
Okay. Okay. Now, I think there was this question quite related to what Mr. Goh has shared, right? Because the question is about success rate. So when they saw the numbers, they say, wow, you know, you have 2,000 applications and you only take 400 interviews and eventually 180 offers. So you start to calculate your chances and say, it seems so slim a chance, right? So then, but do not let the probability discourage you, because we do attract a lot of applicants, right? But some are more suitable than others, right? And that's why we shortlist the 400. And you may just be one of those whom we think is suitable, okay? So because, like I said just now, we really want to look at not just your academic results, but also your portfolio, like to try and get some sense of how interested you are and how passionate you are about maths and science. So I think if you are thinking of it, we strongly encourage you to apply and not look at the probability, right? Because the probability is not a linear, right? Kind of a thing. Okay. Mr. Gu?
Pass to Clifton, please. Clifton, unmute.
Okay. All right. There's some. Okay. I'll look at this question. There are some questions about the curriculum. How specialized is our curriculum? Is it just for math and science alone? All right. I would like to highlight that our curriculum is special in the sense that from year 1 onwards, you actually study 3 sciences. All right. So you branch out into physics, chemistry, and bio from year 1 onwards. Unlike most of the mainstream school, they have general science still in lower secondary. Now, how does this affect the other subjects? Actually, for example, like English language, in terms of that, it is no different from maths and science. For mother tongue, we follow the MOE in terms of O and A level. And for humanities, if you chose it as a major, then in terms of level of depth, there's no difference. But if, let's say, you did not choose humanities as a major, you will still have to study humanities in your lower years. And if you do not have a humanities major, you will still have to do a year 6 humanities capstone module. So in this sense, while our curriculum is specialized in math and science, it is still wide enough to offer a holistic education so that you are able to learn different skill sets from various disciplines in order to be future ready. And I think this is the holistic aspect that we have in terms of the academic curriculum, right? That in terms of student development curriculum, I mentioned earlier, CCA is compulsory because within CCA, there are platforms for you to develop your character and leadership skills. And this is something that, and that's why this is something that we make it compulsory. And in fact, for boarding program is also part of our student development program to allow you to learn life skills through a really live-in experience. That means it's not something that you learn from textbook, but you actually live with it for a year. So this is something that I would like to highlight to you. Now, apart from CCA, although there's no question asking about student interest group, I would like to just highlight that on top of CCA, actually, we do have a range of academic and non-academic student interest groups that you can join on top. If, let's say, you're very passionate in an area and you would like to contribute to bring awareness to the school community. All right, so I think this is what I want to add with regards to the curriculum portion. All right, so now I'll pass the time to Mr. Goh.
Mr. Go.
You are muted.
The third time already. Okay, now what I mean is that our school module, like, it's not just unique in math and science, but also in other subjects like English language, humanities are all very different. They're all customized for our own students. Like, give you an example. So let's say for English literature, in one of the module, year 3 modules called they use the Kill the Mockingbird text. Okay, so a typical student will just in a school will say, okay, let's do a test and quiz. So over here, the assessment is fully under our control. So as long as the student, the teacher can use a certain assessment product and process to evaluate a student's competency and understanding of the learning outcome, that'll be great. And if we can get them to be more creative, even better. So the teacher actually asked them to come up with board games as a group to showcase the character or the scene or certain concepts in the Kill the Mockingbird text. Or they can work individually to come up with mock models of a particular scene to showcase a particular impact and emotion. Right? So these are all different products and processes that a student can bring in because of a special module designed by our school. And it's not just for math and science, it's for all types of modules. Is NUS school stressful? Any greater advantage than RI? I think the school is as stressful as all other top schools in Singapore. Yeah, if the school is not stressful, I don't think this school belongs to Singapore. No, the joke. I think certain stress level in Singapore, I don't think we can escape now. Okay, but is our students too stressed? I think my answer is no. But the better yet, let me invite you to stay a bit more to talk to our students later on. Right? Then you'll hear from yourself. Okay, what time do they sleep? Okay, I don't think they sleep a lot. Teenagers somehow can sleep very little time and still perform at a very high level. Okay, but what's the advantage of this of our diploma versus an A-level system? I think the child enjoys school life. Have you seen your child whereby they are quite bored in school, they are quite bored in classroom, and they only ice buckle because they have some enrichment program, then they ice buckle out a little bit, or then after school hours, then they go for some enrichment center, then they ice buckle a little bit more, because something that can stretch them further. But in a typical classroom setting, they are bored, they are disengaged, they are troublemaker because nothing can engage them. So if your child is that type of personality, then do you think you want them to go through 4 more years or 6 more years of O and A level whereby they still be understretched for 20 hours of a week, and then they only ice bucket only after school hours? Over here, majority of the school life is the curriculum, and over here the curriculum can sparkle the ice too. I think they are not relaxed in the sense that they are not high strung, but I think it's a very nice creative tension whereby they like what they do, okay, and they enjoy putting their best effort in what they do. So then they grow, right? Then they grow in not just their studies, but in their values, in their resilience, okay, and all the 21st century CC skills. I think we have 10 more minutes to answer all these questions. So let me pass the time to Ms. So that we can circulate as many questions as possible. Ms. So?
Okay. Yeah. Also, like to add on to what Mr. Goh has said about the challenge of the curriculum here. Right? I think most of you have just most of you are still preparing for the PSLE, right? And I think in primary school, like some of you are doing so well in your respective schools that, like Mr. Goh has said, you're finding it a little bit under challenged, right? So when you come here, you will find that, oh, you know, there is actually a transitional period needed, because you find that, oh, things are not so effortless anymore. So for example, currently, you know, you just have to put in a little bit of effort, you are able to do very well in your maths and science in school. But when you come to NUS High, you'll find that, oh, you actually have to work hard. You know, it's no longer so effortless anymore, right? You have to crack your brains, think a little bit harder, right? And in fact, you got to strive, right, to actually do well, right, in the school. Okay, now that's because we want to stretch you, right? Because we don't want you to go through, like Mr. Goh says, you know, go through another 4 years of quite effortlessly going through, right? Then you're not really realizing the full potential. So you come here to realize the full potential, right? And if you want to compare us to a typical IP school, right? Okay, hard to say a typical IP school because every IP is is quite unique, right? They do program things quite differently. Right? But I think really our if you want to compare, I would say in terms of balance, right? We actually offer challenge in the maths and science as well as in the non-maths and science areas as well, right? And we have stretch programs, the Sustainable Development Youth Conference, we've got a Socrates program. So all these other programs that stretch our students in areas beyond the maths and science, just like in other schools, okay? But there's something that we can afford to do, which a lot of other schools are not able to, is that flexibility, right? Because we have full control over our curriculum. That's why we are quite flexible in terms of how we want to customize the program according to the talent groups that we have, right? Whereas for all the other schools, they either have the A level or the IB, right, as an endpoint for the students. And that's why no matter how flexible they are in the middle, right, towards the end of their 6-year curriculum, they still have to make sure they prepare students well for the A level or the international baccalaureate. So whereas we don't have that constraint, we can continue to be flexible and to customize it, according to the needs of the child all the way until they graduate from the school. So that will be one core difference, right? I think I mentioned it just now. What is important is something that's very important to us is the wonderment and curiosity that we develop here, right? And I think later when you hear from the parents and you hear from the students, right, they will all agree with you that that really this school challenges them to think, right, to be curious about things, to ask questions, right? One parent just now actually shared that she's a lecturer in the university, right? And she talked about how when she's asked questions by the students, she could tell who's from NUS High, because the kind of questions we ask are very different from the students from other schools. Like the kind of questions that our students ask tries to link concepts together. So that's how they've been trained to think after 6 years at the school, right? To really look at things, interconnect things, and ask about deep conceptual questions, and to think beyond, right, what the lecturer has taught. So I think that's the quality of thinking that they develop here. And also to emphasize that that the girls actually do very well here, right? And they love it here, right? Because they find that they are treated like everybody else, right? They are not like a minority, right? In the school, they certainly are not overshadowed by the boys. If nothing else, the small group of girls actually do stand up among all the students in the school as well. Okay, just to also give the parents a sense of what can your child look forward to as they graduate from the school, right? Roughly about 3/4 of our students obtain distinction in the NUS High Diploma. Okay, so we don't non-reference the qualifications, right? Our diploma is criterion reference, right? And we have set a certain bar, right? And a distinction in the NUS High Diploma is a certain standard. And as long as the child meets that standard, they get their distinction, right? And roughly about 3/4 of our students actually meet that distinction standard, right? And that distinction standard is being endorsed by universities overseas and locally when they admit our students, right? So that's why this is not a kind of a distinction that we adjust, right? Right. So and the reason why 3/4 of our students obtain distinction is because we do get in very bright students and very talented students in maths and science, and that's why we don't shortchange them, right, by bringing down the kind of qualification that they receive, right? And over 40% of our students obtain high distinction, right? So therefore the diploma standard is set high, and our students actually meet that high standard and perform well as they leave the school. Okay, right. So any last final questions that the DPs would like to answer? Rick, just raise your hand, DPs, if you have got specific questions you want to answer. Okay. Okay. If not, then I will just round up, right? Because we have got about 2-3 minutes before our next segment, right? So I want to say, first of all, thank you very much to all of you for spending the time this afternoon with us, right? Coming up next will be our parallel sessions, right? For you to hear from our teachers, parents, students, and also alumni, right? Important to hear from the horse's mouth, right? Because they are the ones who actually live their experience and will be able to share with you what life is really like, right? Right. So, okay, then over to the facilitators.